Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back for episode number 135 of Two Guys, One Cartridge. Myself, Tim, and Daryl here. And how's it going, buddy?
Quite well.
Okay.
Is that better?
Maybe.
A little bit?
Definitely better than last week.
Alright.
I was gonna... I should really just stop this. I really should. I've been doing it for like 50 fucking episodes now. I should really just stop.
Well, we don't have a lot of time to waste here, so, I mean, obviously it's E3 week, so why don't we just go ahead and just dive right in to the big announcement, and this is what everyone is really talking about.
Uh-huh.
And I know that you're excited about it just as well as I am.
Uh-huh.
Just Dance 2014.
It is happening.
Multi-platform.
Oh, yeah.
No, obviously that's not what we're talking about. Obviously it's the DRM wars are at hand.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's the thing. If we're going to talk about this, which I guess we should, because I mean, it was a previous conversation that we had with our return episode and everything else, of course, focusing on the Xbox One, because that press conference just seemed to happen the day that we came back, or the day before. So, I have been looking at a lot of like the online polls and everything else about who won E3 kind of thing, and it is very, very heavily in favor of Sony. But because when Sony came out for their press conference, they said a few things that everybody was waiting to hear.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Xbox. Let's talk about what Xbox is going to do first.
Okay.
Let's put it into a little context here. So, Microsoft came out, last week, before E3, and they outlined their used games policy. So basically what they said was that they were giving the option to the third party publishers to say, you can trade your games in, you can't trade your games in. So they were kind of pushing the ball into their court and saying, you guys do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they went on to talk about other things like, can you rent games? Can you trade games? All that stuff. They pretty much covered everything all at once. So what it sounds like they're gonna do is, like I said, the publishers, they have the option. So they can choose to say, yes, you can trade your games in at participating retailers, quote unquote, as well. So it basically means like GameStop.
Yeah.
And maybe Best Buy. They'll give them the option to say you can trade your games in, you can't trade your games in. The way the game trading works is, let's say you buy a game at retail, Tim. Let's say you buy Just Dance 2014.
Alright, got it.
And I really want that game, because I'm looking forward to it. Maybe I can't afford it.
I'm loving that using this as the example. Okay.
Maybe, I bought my Xbox One, but I can't afford my copy of Just Dance, because I bought Kinect Sports Rivals instead. So you can give me your copy of that game. Only once. So It's basically, effectively, you're basically giving me your physical copy, except you could still potentially own the actual disc, but because everything is tied into the cloud, now I have your copy, and that's it.
Okay.
That's permanent. So I can't even give you your game back. So your disc has effectively become a worthless piece of, it's a coaster at this point.
Oh.
Yeah. Now that only applies to disc-based games. The way that I am understanding this is if you buy a game digitally, you can't trade your game at all.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
It's only disc-based games. Same thing with, there was another thing that they had that was disc-based. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. So you'll be able to buy, blah, 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 trade and resell, and give to friends. So yeah, there was one other point about disc-based games, but I think it was just the trade and resale thing. But that's kind of self-explanatory as far as obviously you can't resell your games that you purchase online. That's kind of to be expected. Now, the other thing that they did was you can give your family access to your Xbox One games.
Oh, well, I think there's something you missed though about the giving the game away.
What?
So there is something else that was listed there. It was the fact that they need to be on your friends list for at least 30 days beforehand.
Yeah, that's true. I did miss that. And that makes a lot of sense why they're doing that. So that way you can't just put your game up on Craigslist and say, hey, I've got this copy, PayPal me $30 and then I'll send you this and then you'll have my game. So I think that makes a lot of sense why they're doing it that way. It sucks from a resale, from a consumer standpoint because now you can't, sell your games, but
you can't trade your games out, you can't loan your loan your games to your friends, but the thing is you can only do it once, so you loan it to your friend. You're not loaning it, you're giving it to your friend.
It's not a loaner, it's a one and done kind of deal.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna cause a lot of problems for people who don't pay attention to the gaming press. People who are just your average consumer who really may not necessarily know a lot about this kind of thing, where they may, let's say, if you buy your son a game and he says, hey, I want to loan it to my friend, and he might give his friend the game, and even if Xbox pops up and says, hey, you can't get this game back, you might just press, the X button or whatever to get through the prompt without realizing, hey, I can't get that game back. It could cause a lot of problems for, like I said, for people that don't pay attention to that sort of thing, unless they do their research ahead of time. Microsoft could end up having themselves a lot of customer service issues. But anyway, as of now, there is no rental, solution provided by Microsoft, so they basically are pushing Redbox and all that, Redbox Gamefly kind of out of the way, saying, there's no rentals. You buy the game and that's kind of it. That's kind of what they're doing in a nutshell. There's some other details. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I did forget. I've got the family access thing. So.
Yeah, see, this is like, I mean, even with Microsoft, like, coming out last week and saying, like, this is how it's gonna happen, I'm still fucking confused by all of this. Like, I don't know. I'm not getting something here. It's like, you can share.
Like with the family thing, I mean, is that just gonna kind of be like a friends list separate from your friends list? Like, could I put you on my family list and say Tim can access my games in Pittsburgh while I'm in Raleigh? I mean, how does that, they didn't go into a lot of detail, but the way it works anyway, though, is you can put up to 10 people on your family list. You and one other person can be playing your game at any time. But that's it.
Okay. So, alright. Got it.
What?
Nothing. My head hurts now. I need aspirin.
Okay.
You need to kill it with beer. Kill it with beer!
So, yeah, I mean, it is kind of convoluted still, the way that they're doing it.
Mm.
But basically it's, the publishers have the option of whether you can trade in your games. You can only loan them once, which is not a loan. It's basically giving the game away and you can't get it back. And there's no rental strategy right now at launch, and then you have your family list, which you and one other person can play at a time, and it allows you to share your games with up to 10 other people. And you can play your games from any Xbox 360, but it's gonna check in every 1 hour instead of every 24 hours like normal.
Mm.
So really, the rumors that we heard about their DRM scheme, it's pretty much what we thought it was gonna be. Now, there was a post at the NeoGAF forums that there was a guy over there who apparently has been kind of he's been leaking information over there for the past 10 years or so, and he said that the DRM is actually worse than we think. Yeah. So he says that there's more to come. So what that could be, I don't know.
I'm looking at something here over at Ars Technica, and I'm just gonna look at this, and it says, okay, so your primary console, so your console with your account on there, can be offline for up to 24 hours. Alright, but within a 24-hour period, it needs to get online, it needs to verify the game library, it needs to verify your licenses, it needs to verify everything.
Everything, yeah.
Secondary console, someone on your friends list, someone on your family list, someone who's access to your library, can only be offline for an hour. at a time. So if somebody else is borrowing your stuff or access to your equipment, their online policy is different. They have to check in every hour. So extended power outage, extended internet outage, let's just go ahead and say that, because power outage, I'm sorry, my Xbox is not on my backup battery. Extended internet outage, then that you have a problem then for someone who's probably playing some game at your house, or at someone else's house. So that's the way that's working with that always online issue.
And that works the same way if you're playing your Xbox games at on someone else's console too, where it has the 1 hour thing.
Yes. So
I didn't know that about your family members. I hadn't read that.
It just says a secondary console, so I'm assuming that's what it is also in there as well. So it's not your console, it's someone else's console logged into.
Logged in and playing your games.
Yes.
Your account.
Yes.
Now, my question too, and I don't know if I've heard anybody else bring this up, but let's say down the road, I want to trade in my Xbox One. Would that even be possible? Because is my Xbox One account permanently tied to my Xbox One and no one else can put an Xbox One account on? Now, I don't know if that's the case, but would I lose everything I have? Because my Xbox One account is permanently tied to that console. That's my understanding of the way they're doing it.
So, let's look at it this way. So if you trade it in, or if your console dies and you need to replace it.
No, I'm sure they'll have a strategy for that.
You'd think it would be something like the way Steam or something does it. Well, all your licenses are at least cloud-based, that you can at any time pull down your games back from the cloud if need be. So maybe something like that's in place. I'm assuming the console isn't licensed to you, and I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, we're looking at the titles, but if it's doing an online check, it's looking for the content on your drive compared to the licenses that it has stored in its database in the cloud. So I would assume that if the console was traded in, you format the console, give it away, or if you had to replace your console, you'd still be able to reinstall your games again, and then
if you decided down the road, hey, I actually want to rebuy my console.
Yeah, I would think
something to that effect.
I would think so. I mean, I don't see.
Would hope so.
I would hope so. I mean, so the Xbox 360 was one of the greatest failing consoles ever made. I mean, that we still get posts to this day about.
It's notorious for the red ring of death.
The red ring of death, which I went for years without having the red ring of death until the Halo 3 beta came out, and then I got the red ring of death finally in the day one of the Halo 3 beta, which I was pissed off about. But that's when it happened, and then I haven't had a problem really since. Actually, that's not true. I got the refurbished console from them after that one died. That one has issues. But then I just kind of gave it to my dad to have in his house, and I bought the Slim whenever it came out. So my Slim has absolutely no problems whatsoever. The other console has a problem with actually turning on. You have to actually hit the power button like 4 or 5 times before it actually turns on. You hear everything power up and spin, but that's about as far as it goes. But I digress.
I mean, the question's still there, though, of, let's say if you did trade your Xbox One in, is that just kind of it? And then, could you tie it into another, could you trade it in and then, let's say, like I said, down the road, say I want to purchase another one for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then could I tie my new account to that console? Since, like I said, my interpretation is that my account is permanently tied to this console's serial or MAC address or whatever. I mean, I'm just hypothetically thinking down the road with all this crazy stuff that's happening with the One, you never know. I mean, I'm just saying that with all the craziness that's happening, you never know. You never know. And I'm throwing a hypothetical out there.
I know you are. I don't want to believe it because my feelings have been hurt a lot recently about the Xbox One. Which I need to clarify something because when we did the WildStar episode, we had a quick little bit about the Xbox One again, and I got called out about it on YouTube.
Okay.
I said the big issue was that people were complaining, one of the big issues people were complaining about was the the no backwards compatibility for the system, and I said that was one of the big issues. And someone called me out saying, well, the no self-publishing indie companies is the big issue, and I need to clarify that. I think I phrased it wrong. I just meant that the big issue or the most vocal issue I was seeing from people on online forums at the time, people were bitching at that moment when I was searching, and I made that comment. That was the thing people were complaining about the most. Yes, the self-publishing indie issue is a big issue too, and I fully agree with that commenter, and that sucks. Although Microsoft did come out and say during their conference that they are very strong still in indie support, but they really didn't say how.
Oh, yeah, well they said it. Oh, okay. Well, I feel better now.
I'm just saying. All I'm saying is that they said it during the conference, and that was it. They didn't say how. They just said.
Saying, and they said they're dedicated, and now I suddenly feel better about it.
I know.
But anyway, let's carry on with Sony's approach.
Yes.
Because they're basically taking the 180 approach to the DRM.
There's three things that Sony came after Microsoft for. Because Microsoft at the time announced that the Xbox One would have a price of $499.99, so $500 for the console. Sony, towards the end of their press conference, came out and said, one, our console will be $399.99, so now taking $100 off, between the two. So you have Microsoft at $500, you got Sony at $400. Okay.
And where does by the way, just even though it's not really that relevant, but what is the Wii U? Is it $299 or $249?
I think it was $249 and $299. There's two. Okay. I think the $299 version was.
So it's kind of they're putting themselves in between. But being below the one is what really matters the most.
Yes, you're gonna come after Microsoft because really fighting against Nintendo right now is like beating a dead horse with a stick.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. So that's point one. Point two is they came out with the used game discussion and they said, guess what? Our games are still disc based. Guess what? You can still trade your games in. You can still loan your games to your friend. You can still buy used games. Hey, guess what? And then point three, again, was coming after Microsoft and saying, guess what? We have an offline console. You can go ahead and play offline. We don't need you to always be on. We don't need you to check in with us, 24/7 to make sure you can still play your shit. Mm. However, Sony snuck a quick one in there on people that, I don't think a lot of people caught. That online gameplay for Sony now requires a PlayStation Plus account.
Yeah. I did see a lot of people making the deal about that at Reddit.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it's gonna be, folks.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the big selling point for Sony back in the day was the fact that you could play online multiplayer without paying $50, $60 a year to do so. Mm-hmm. Well, now Sony wants to go ahead and really
it's not like that anymore.
Yeah, no, guess what? Sorry.
Yeah.
So they gave you some things and they took away something from you.
And it's funny, they talked about all these like free games that they're gonna add onto, like one of them was, they're talking about like the indie games, one of them was Don't Starve.
Yeah.
And Outlast. Those games aren't free if you're paying to play online, by the way. They're not free. Well, you're essentially paying, I mean, they're throwing them in as incentives, but if you're paying to play on the service, those games aren't really free.
Well, Microsoft came out and did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Microsoft said that if you are an existing Gold member at this current time, and from now until the release of the Xbox One, you can get 2 free games, to download from Xbox Live. And what I was kind of wondering is because the announcer said just 2 free games. The billboard behind him said 2 free games per month. I didn't really look into that because I haven't had a chance to because, there's a lot of stuff to watch and a lot of stuff to write down and I have about 6 or 7 pages worth of notes here, from everything that I watched over the last 2 days. But it's the same thing. Microsoft took the exact same approach saying we're going to give you access to a free available titles to you, but like you said, it's an incentive, it's not free because you're already paying.
Yeah.
$60 per year for either service at this point.
See, like when Steam came out with, I think was it Alien Swarm? I think was the name of the game. There was some co-op shooter.
That was I think you're talking about Alien Swarm because
Alien Swarm, yeah. That was that's a free game because Steam is free.
Yeah.
So, but these games, I guess in a sense they're free, but like I said, if you're paying to play for the service,
it's just an extra little feature being provided to you because you are a member.
Now that said, I like the free games, quote unquote, that are being offered by PlayStation more than the ones I saw from Microsoft.
Yeah, I think what was the first one? The first two available will be Halo 3 and Assassin's Creed 2 are the first two available.
Big damn deal.
Yeah, I already own both of them, so...
Yeah, chances are if you have an Xbox, you probably already played those games anyway.
Yeah, so I mean, if they're gonna be sticking with this whole idea of releasing these games for free that are older titles, like Assassin's Creed 2 and Halo 3, there's no point, whereas Sony's releasing stuff that's coming out, or it just came out, like Don't Starve.
Yeah.
Is a new freaking game.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay. Point to Sony on that one.
And also, the three that they had announced were Don't Starve, Secret Ponchos, and Outlast. And they both look pretty cool.
Like we said at the very beginning, is that, there's been the online polls and everyone's coming out and saying, because of the announcement that Sony made, that they have absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt, won E3. And that's it. And there's no, you're shaking your head at me. I don't care. The internet has spoken. The internet in all of its very intelligent ways has spoken and said that Sony is the winner of E3. Microsoft can suck it. Nintendo can suck it. Sony wins.
Look, I'll just say this first, alright? I don't have any bias. I have no dog in this fight. Cause I don't have a console. The only console I own is a Nintendo 64.
Alright.
Yeah. So I don't have a PlayStation 3. I don't have an Xbox 360.
I have both.
So I don't give a shit who people think wins or who actually won or whatever. I can only say what I think. But, I mean, obviously I like what Sony had to say as far as the DRM stuff goes. I do not like the idea of having an always on Connect. That, I don't want that at all. That would probably force me away from buying an Xbox One, period. Not being able to trade in my games just kind of arbitrarily, like a publisher just says, oh, you just can't trade your games in.
Well, of course, about the Always On Connect, though, Microsoft claims, you can throw another claim out there, that it's technically only listening for one thing when it's off.
Yeah.
It's not on watching you masturbate.
So, but it's, even in that, it's still on in some degree.
I'm just saying, I might be having some personal time in front of my TV, and I don't really need my Connect to be
on at all.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's like, hey, Skype call incoming. Oh, shit! Whoops.
So, I don't like any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
As far as the actual games go, I really was not impressed with the PlayStation lineup. Let's talk about the games here. So for PlayStation they talked about Killzone Shadowfall.
You realize I wrote absolutely nothing down for Sony, even though we watched that shit together? I actually just wrote Sony on a page, and I wrote nothing else, because I think you and me were too busy making fun of that one.
Yeah, we were making fun of the whole press conference.
I actually recorded us watching that press conference.
Oh, that would be interesting to hear.
And there's a lot of, yes!
I think we were probably doing that for about 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was, we were actually talking a lot of shit about Sony during their press conference.
So, Drive Club, which is just a racing game. I don't care about racing games in any capacity unless it's Excite Bike. Knack looks like it could be a pretty cool game.
Which one was Mac?
It has a kind of almost a cartoony, like Pixar type of style. It's kind of an action platformer game. I think they did show some in-game footage from that. That was a big thing too, is I kind of based things off of, did they actually show the game or not? Did we just see a trailer?
Wait, you talking about like Mac's The Curse of Brotherhood? Is that what?
No, Knack.
Knack. Oh.
Like I have a knack for.
Oh, okay. Yes.
About you.
Sorry.
Yeah. And then also Madden 25, which is obviously, not an exclusive, that's a multi-platform title. The only other exclusive games they talked about were The Order 1886, which had no in-game footage. It just had a cinematic. Infamous Second Son, once again, no in-game footage. And we don't even know if this game is actually going to be an exclusive, but Final Fantasy 15.
Well,
Final Fantasy's been known lately to be a multi-platform franchise.
Since 13, yeah.
No guarantee that one is going to be an exclusive. So
actually, I take that back, since 11.
We don't know yet on whether or not that's going to be.
In terms of the online, in terms of the non-online versions, 13 is when it starts. 12 is still a PlayStation-only title. 13 came out multi-platform, and then 13.2 came out multi-platform.
But also, they did talk about Kingdom Hearts 2 during the Sony conference, and that ends up being a
multi-platform too.
An Xbox One and a PS4 game.
Yeah.
Square Enix is trending more towards multi-platform. They have been bringing their games to the PC as well.
Square Enix has been, really branching out into the mobile game world recently, too.
Yeah, I think they have a Final Fantasy Tactics game.
They have Tactics redesigned. They re-released all of their old Final Fantasy titles back on there, but they have a whole bunch of other ones in there, too. But, you know what, I'll save that discussion for a later show, because I got a bone to pick with Square Enix about the way they're doing their mobile shit. I'll save it for another show.
This ain't the show for that.
Nope.
But they did have the indie games, and a lot of these games look really cool. I mean, they have The Witness, Transistor, Don't Starve, Mercenary Kings, Octodad, Secret Ponchos, Rays of the Dead, Outlast, Oddworld, which isn't really an indie game. I don't know why they had that in with their indie game thing. Galaxy, and Tiny Brain. Most of these games are going to be on the PC, though. There's only 3 of them that aren't going to be on the PC. Well, 2 of them that I know aren't, and 1 that I'm not sure about.
Just Don't Starve is already,
Don't Starve is already out.
Transistor is coming to the PC.
Transistor is. Secret Ponchos is not coming to the PC, and I think Galaxy might not be, and Tiny Brain is not coming to the PC. The rest of those games are.
Okay.
So as a PC gamer, the only one I would probably want to play would be Secret Ponchos. That game does look like it could be alright. But the best games are going to be, I think, Transistor, Outlast, and Mercenary Kings. The rest of those games, they could be good, but I'll probably be able to live without playing most of them. So overall, there really are not any games on the PS4 lineup that jumped out at me and said, hey, you gotta come play me.
Oh, wait. Transistor, I know I've seen Transistor. That's the one that the guys from Bastion did, right?
Yeah, it's the one from the guys who are doing Bastion.
That's why I remember it now.
It's like a sci-fi action platforming type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's one that actually is pretty cool, but once again, it's coming to PC, so I don't need to buy a PlayStation 4 for that.
Yeah. Most of your indie titles do end up making their way over to the PC anyway, and we always get our hands on them somehow.
Exactly, yeah. So one way or another, I think at least 1 or 2 of those games that are not currently going to be on the PC probably will be anyway.
Yeah. You might see some of them that, months down the line, a year down the line, you might see something.
But with the back catalog of games that I have anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
For me. But let's go over to the Xbox games. Here are their launch titles, and these are all exclusives. So you have Kinect Sports Rivals, which that's just a Kinect game. I don't care about that. Rise, Son of Rome, which is from Crytek. Now this game, it looks like it could be interesting. It's coming from Crytek.
Mm-hmm.
It takes place in kind of the Roman Empire era. Looks like it has some timing-based combat, which is kind of like...
It was quick time events.
Yeah, quick time. Yeah. That was the word I was looking for. And they did show some what appeared to be in-game footage, but no UI, so I'm kind of iffy about whether it was actually real in-game footage.
Or they could just disable the UI to show off.
They could have done that. Or they could have done what Sony did when they were showing off, I think, was it Assassin's Creed?
Mm-hmm.
And the game actually froze.
Yeah. It's like, that's it, huh?
Yeah, let's move on. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. But fortunately for Microsoft, that didn't happen.
Rise actually does look somewhat interesting to me. And I like, when we were talking about the QuickTime events though, is it kind of had like that feel the way like the Batman games have recently when you have multiple enemies around you that you can actually bounce between enemies with the QuickTime events?
They didn't show anything like that. No, they did?
Yeah,
Oh,
it did.
okay.
It was a,
I must have missed that. When I was watching these today, I was doing like 2 or 3 things at once, so I was just kind of jotting down notes and...
It was very brief, but I saw it. I caught a glimpse of it and went, oh, 'cause he was fighting 2 guys at once, and you saw the quick time event bounce between one and the other, and I was like, yeah, okay, so we can fight multiple guys at one time. And, it'll actually bounce between the 2 of them. Okay, I got this.
So then, in addition to that, they're talking about Forza, which is just another racing game, which, by the way, a lot of racing games this year. I think by my count, they announced 6 racing games.
Yeah, but you know what though? I mean, that seems to be like a normal thing. I mean, really, if you think about like the other E3s, you usually see a Need for Speed title. You might see a Forza title. You might see a Gran Turismo title. I can't think of the other ones. Those are the 3 big ones.
They announced a couple new ones too.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, it's Mario Kart, but there was a couple new ones. But anyway.
Forza 5 looks really cool though. I actually like the idea of what they're doing with that.
I'm not a fan of racing games, so
I am on and off.
Regardless.
I am on and off. I've always been a big Need for Speed guy myself. But, Forza, what they're doing, real quick, I'll just say this because, you know, Microsoft has been pushing more and more of this online feature of everything, that Forza learns from the way that you drive. So what they're saying is they don't want to put you against just, you know, standard AI opponents. They want to take the driving characteristics of all their players that play. And they want to incorporate that so when you're racing, you're actually, you know, the AI that you're racing is really the racing style of somebody else. So even though you might be playing single player, you're actually kind of playing multiplayer because you're playing against these different play styles. And the fact that it also records yours, and when you're offline, your car's, what did they call it? It was something ridiculous. Damn it. It was Drivatar. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. Drivatar, yeah.
The Drivatar.
More PR speak.
The Drivatar. Yeah, so the Drivatar, of course, records your play style, records how you handle turns, records, you know, when you accelerate, when you play dirty, all sort of stuff. And then when you're offline, your Drivatar is still up in the cloud. Mm-hmm. And so it's participating in other people's races while you're away. And if it actually performs well and you get back, and you sign back into Forza, you could possibly earn, you know, in-game credits and everything from the races of your Drivatar.
Or even possibly achievements like, hey, you've got this really, really good run on this one track, and X amount of players have played against your Drivatar and haven't beaten you.
Yeah.
So, you know, now you've got this achievement for 100 players. Yeah, so they could tie that in a lot of ways. So, I mean, that is pretty cool. Racing games in general, I just don't, unless it's Excite Bike, I'm just not really interested in.
Overheat.
Yeah. So, going on though with the launch exclusives for Xbox, Dead Rising 3 was the next one.
Looks cool.
They look like they're taking a much more serious approach to it.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of just the kind of cartoony, campy humor of the other ones.
Well, the first one was really goofy. The second one lost a good chunk of its goofiness.
Yeah.
The third one looks like
a much more serious game.
Now, I see the one thing they did differently in 3 that they got away from, it looks like in 1 and 2, was the fact when you're doing the modifications to your items to make your badass items and everything else, it used to require that you had to go find a modding table and bring all the stuff in your inventory over to the modding table and do it there. Where what they were showing is that he was doing it on the fly.
Yeah, he was right in the middle of like 2 massive packs of zombies and combined a
hammer saw,
a chainsaw, and a gigantic sledgehammer. Yeah. and then what really pissed me off was he threw it and then he gets in a car and drives off.
Yeah, why would you give away? I mean, I'm sorry. If you gave me a mallet on one end and a saw on the other, I would be carrying that motherfucker around all the time. I wouldn't just throw it away at a zombie. I mean, yeah, it was kind of cool watching that one zombie cut in half, but I'd go back and pick that shit up again.
He could have picked it up and gotten in the car and ran. Or he could have just drove off in the car with it in the back seat and been like, yeah, now I got this awesome new weapon.
Yeah.
Cause when he gets to the next point where, like, he got out of the car, he was surrounded by a million more zombies. So
and honestly, when he was driving around, if he would put the saw outside the passenger window or something like that, he would just mowed them down instead of crawling all over you.
Yeah.
Come on, dog.
Yeah.
Really? Why would you give away your weapon? Yeah. Why would you, I mean, rule number 1, zombie apocalypse, never throw away your weapon. especially if it's a hammer saw. That's awesome.
Those were the launch exclusives. So, other than that, the other exclusives they talked about. And they talked about a lot more exclusive games for the Xbox One. A lot more of these interest me than on the PS4. So they have Killer Instinct.
Yes.
Which, I sent you a text message earlier today about that.
Yeah, because you did, and actually JD did too, so.
Yeah. So, apparently, the characters in that game are not going to be free. You're only going to have one character. Now, supposedly, the note I have here from Reddit is that this actually will be a launch title. So I guess it's kind of still up in the air. But yeah, characters are not free in Killer Instinct 2013.
Now, can you earn them, or do you have to buy?
The link I have says Killer Instinct Reboot is free to play, only one character is free. And it says, Destructoid confirmed in this Killer Instinct preview that while the fighter is free to all, you have to pay individually for new and returning characters. Now it says their costs have not been confirmed.
That's kind of a weird approach to take. I mean, it's nothing new.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that one. That wasn't a game that particularly interested me. I'm not a big fighting game person.
You're not a big driving game person. You're not a big fighting game person.
What
are you? What are you?
You know what I like.
I know. I'm sorry.
But other than that, they have a game called Sunset Overdrive, which they didn't show any in-game footage of from what I can tell, but it has like that, it looks like it's gonna be some kind of action game, and I think this is the game where they had, eyeless, kind of alien monsters, so it looks like it's just gonna be some kind of like...
They're doing all this crazy parkour shit.
Yeah, and they had, guys with guns that shot fire and whatnot.
And soda apparently overdrives weapons and everything else.
Yeah, apparently a can of energy drink.
It must be Jolt, because that's why they don't make that shit anymore. Or Surge.
But that game, I'll have to wait and see what it actually is, because like I said, they didn't show anything but that cinematic. So
yeah, I mean, from the cinematic though, I like the idea. I mean, if it's like this, again, the big thing is they're really trying to go with the multiplayer, and even the single player becomes multiplayer, and that's like the big thing that it seems to be with, not just Microsoft, but with Sony as well.
That was a common theme among games.
Yes.
But we'll say that, I wanted to save that conversation for afterwards.
Okay.
Talk about common themes that we saw.
Okay, no problem. I'm just saying that it's like, you have this whole, single player too, like they showed off, EA went out and showed off the new Need for Speed, which said I've been a Need for Speed guy for a while, at least in terms of racing games. That's the brand that I always kind of, roll to, or, move to and everything else.
You were gonna say roll with.
No, I wasn't. But they showed the whole, you're playing a single player race, and then out of nowhere, there's an option to just jump right into a multiplayer game right there, and then you just go, and it's like, oh, that's game on right there. So I mean, it's kind of interesting, and we get, but then again, it is a recurring theme, so I'll leave it alone. I just thought that was really cool from a Need for Speed game.
So they also talked about Minecraft.
Bigger, better, and uncut.
But supposedly the one edition is also going to be coming to the PC. Wouldn't surprise me if it did, since that's where Minecraft started anyway. Minecraft wouldn't be a thing without the PC.
Yeah, but
Quantum Break.
Yeah.
They didn't show any in-game footage, so I don't care. I don't care about a game unless they actually show me what the gameplay looks like.
But they're saying it's a TV show too. Like I really wasn't paying attention to Quantum Break, but they kept on saying it was a TV. It's going to be a TV show, kind of like the way Defiance is working.
Yeah.
Said that the TV show influences the game, and the game tells you more about the TV.
D4, which that's the one that has a cel-shaded kind of artwork to it.
Yes. You have about 10 seconds of video, and that's it.
And had the supposedly episodic content. Another game they didn't really seem to show anything from in-game. The next game is Below.
Oh.
And this game is from the same people who did Sword and Sorcery.
Yes.
Now, I like Sword and Sorcery. So that's a game that caught my attention, and that being an exclusive, that's one that I would be interested in playing, because, like I said, I like Sword and Sorcery, despite that some people seem to not even think it was a video game for some reason. That I don't understand. That's one of the ones that I would be looking forward to. The other one the next game that they talked about was Project Spark.
Yes.
Now, this is actually a multi-platform title, but technically it doesn't count as a multi-platform title. Do you know why?
Why?
Because it's coming to Windows 8.
Oh.
So that doesn't count, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, because nobody's buying Windows 8 to play video games. I'm not buying Windows 8 just to play Project Spark. I hate to say it.
Well, I'm just saying I might buy Windows 8 because I have to with my next, laptop I buy. But, details.
But this game actually looks pretty cool. And I think you and I talked a little bit about this yesterday.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And actually, I was really excited about it. And actually,
you were excited about it, and I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, and I told you to go watch it.
I went back today and watched the trailer, and I said, yeah, that actually does look pretty cool. So
I wrote in my notes right next to Project Spark, I have "Holy balls!" !
So I mean, it does integrate Kinect and Smart Glass, but it actually does use the voice controls in kind of interesting ways. So, for example, you can change environments. So, like, let's say if you build an area, because I think it's kind of like a God game.
Yeah, but you can build your game and then jump into it and play it.
So it's kind of sort of God game or almost SimCity like, where you can.
It's more like what the fuck's the name of that game from Sony with the Sackboy? Little Big Planet.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what it's more like. It's more like Little Big Planet.
Yeah, I mean, but the way that they show it off is, I mean, you can create your world. So you can make it like a wintry environment. You can make it like a desert type of environment. You can make it day, night, whatever. You can add in mountains and lakes and all that kind of stuff using the voice commands from Smart Glass. It takes kind of like a more of a, I don't want to say Kinect, yeah. I don't want to say like cartoony art style, but it's obviously a game that doesn't take itself too seriously.
Well, I mean, it lets you, but did you watch afterwards where it said we just kind of released this to a little bit of the public and we said, create something, and they were showing all these quick, like, cutscenes and everything? Like, it wasn't just that. It was all kinds of stuff people were making from it. Like, not just what the main demo they were showing. Yeah,
well, in the demo that I saw, that somebody in the community had made some sort of rock mech type of thing.
Yeah.
That the little rock guy that he had as his companion turned into and just like obliterated everything. So community created content obviously is going to play a pretty big role in that game.
Yeah, because it said you can go ahead and you can create your world, you can create your characters and everything else, and then you can share them out to everybody else. You can have your friends play them. You can just post them to the online community and say, hey, grab my shit, try it out. Kind of thing. So, I mean, Project Spark is actually something that really interests me because I have this kind of this itch to design something. Like, I want to build a game, and I can't really build a full game out of this, but at least it gives me the tools and everything to make something that people can play, that I can play, that we can enjoy. Put yourself against goblin horrors or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, so, I mean, we still don't really know a whole lot about what it actually is, other than it integrates Kinect and Smart Glass, and it has community created content.
Yeah.
They didn't actually talk a lot about what it is, but the potential is there to make what looks like it could be a pretty good game.
Multiplayer in created worlds and big battles and everything else and lots of crazy stuff going on. Fireballs that create lava pits and, you said giant rock fucking
giant rock mechanoids, and we don't even know what the fuck else, so we'll have to wait and see, but that's one of the two Xbox the Xbox One exclusives rather that I was really looking forward to, and they don't have any games like that on PS4.
Oh, a little big one. Well, they're coming out with another.
Well, I mean,
that's old.
They're not talking about putting that on PS4. That's why I said PS4, Tim.
I'm sorry. I was looking over my notes. I wasn't really paying attention. I was sipping this delightful beer.
So am I.
Well,
what are you drinking?
I actually have even announced that this time. I'm enjoying a fine Founders.
Which one?
The Centennial IPA.
I actually had that for the first time on Friday. It was good.
You like that? That's a good one.
I did. Yeah.
It's not too IPA-ish.
It has a very, I want to say like East Coasty flavor, because like the West Coasts are very hoppy and kind of tend to be a little bit stronger flavor. The East Coast kind of, I almost want to say a little bit more, I don't want to say fruity style, but they have
milder.
They have a pretty distinct difference in taste. And being that it's from Michigan, they could have gone either way, but obviously they went more East Coast style. But
I saw a green label there. What's that?
This is what I'm drinking. Yeah, no, there's no green label there. That's a Highland Mocha Stout, my friend.
Oh. You know what? I saw that Prohibition beer, or the post-Prohibition beer at grocery store.
That like generic lager one that's like super cheap.
No, the one that you were telling me about, the fucking like 10%, the Lagunitas.
The undercover ale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 10%.
Yeah.
And I sat there and thought about it, but I was like, well, I'm kind of on call this week, and I really don't want to sit around drinking 10% beer.
That's not a good idea if you're
It never is.
If you're on call, no, not at all. That it will put you down hard, trust me.
It could very
It will.
So.
But anyway, enough with the beer podcast.
But I mean, it's kind of a thing. We got to announce what we're drinking.
We do.
We didn't do it at the beginning of the show, so might as well go ahead and put it in towards,
We were so eager to get in here. Moving on.
Halo was also, a snippet of Halo was shown.
In which Master Queef becomes a hobo.
He is a wandering nomad.
He's a wandering nomad in the desert with a, hood over his head, and we don't know what the fuck's going on in that game.
Don't know. Because the last time we saw him, no spoilers. Sorry. For anyone who hasn't played Halo 4, I won't say anything.
Yeah, don't say anything. So we also had Crimson Dragon, which you kind of poo-pooed on. That's Panzer Dragoon.
I know he poo-pooed on it.
Successor.
No, I didn't poo-poo on that. I poo-pooed on the people in the crowd because they had audio issues when they showed it off.
Oh, okay.
And I was talking shit about the people because you had all the jokers like, where's the sound? And I was like, you're so funny for saying where's the sound because the sound's not working. Shut up.
But they had they apparently it's going to integrate Kinect controls, and that has a lot of people kind of iffy about it.
Well, I mean, Panzer Dragoon has been a game that's been around for a long time.
I think it came out on the PS1 originally.
Maybe.
I think it was PS1.
Maybe
I'm pretty sure.
Maybe in a PS2 title. I don't know. Maybe PS1, PS2.
Either way, it was a long time ago.
Yeah. Those are all titles. Either way.
They also had to wrap it up here really quickly. Zoo Tycoon, Power Star Golf, and a game called Loco Cycle. Now, this game looks like it could be kind of interesting. I describe this game as Knight Rider, but with an out-of-control motorcycle and a main character that only speaks in Spanish.
How did I not see this?
How did you not see this?
I didn't see this.
See, I don't know if this is going to be an Xbox arcade game. I think it is.
Was this released during the Xbox conference?
I don't know.
Oh.
But it was on the list of games from Reddit of Xbox One exclusives.
Oh.
So, I don't know. But
I didn't write that down at all.
Well, I'll link you the trailer here if you want to take a look at it. But they're going for it looks kind of crazy what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing like super out of the ordinary or innovative, but it just looks like a game that it could be pretty fun. And that, like I said, that's another game that I'm looking forward to. That's not a make or break kind of thing for me versus Project Spark and Below. Those are the two games that I am most looking forward to.
Loco Cycle.
From the one.
Okay.
But in any event, putting aside all the cross-platform games, for me, as far as the PlayStation 4 versus Xbox One goes, that's just what did it for me, what were the games. Because I really, like I said, there were no games from Sony that were exclusive that I was really interested in that I couldn't already play on my PC. If I were not on the PC, if I weren't such a PC gamer, maybe the indie games would bring me over, possibly.
Yeah.
But being that I am, there really isn't a whole lot over there that I saw that would interest me.
I just have to say, because one of the things, during the recording of us watching the Sony press conference, they kept on saying, some of them said it right. Some of them say exclusive, and both of us went bullshit when they were talking about the indie titles. And then other ones went console exclusive, like, okay, well, you got it right there. Because there's no PC love ever during these things. You never hear anything about the PC when you're at E3. It's always about the console wars, what's coming new from them. But so we're the bastard redheaded, stepchild, in terms of the community when it comes down to E3.
Yeah, and I'm used to that by now. I don't expect to get any attention from the main press conferences, so that's fine with me.
And I'm starting to feel that way. My PC, my journey in the PC gaming didn't start until about 6 years ago.
Until you met me, basically.
Yeah, that's about right. And then I became pretty much dedicated to PC gaming, but now it's just wow. I know I'll see some of these at PC, but no one ever says, coming to Xbox 360 or to Xbox One, PS4, and PC. No one ever says PC. They just kind of just say, well, it's coming to the Xbox and PlayStation, and it is coming to PC, but no one ever seems to mention it ever.
And they'll talk about it they'll have it in the trailers, but not at the conferences, though. No. Almost never do you ever hear about that coming to the PC.
Oh, they did mention Spartan Assault, though.
But that was before.
Even at because Bonnie came out and said, yeah, she quickly went into it and said they had already announced Spartan.
I guess I missed that. But now on the third party ones, like the EA and Ubisoft, they did mention the PC a couple times on there, because some of those games are coming to PC. So, but anyway, I'll wrap up the reason why. I just, as far as the DRM and stuff goes, I do like Sony's stance much better. I think it's a lot more consumer friendly. But as far as just pure games go, if I were to put money down right now for a console, despite everything else, if just talking off of a purely games basis, I really don't see a reason to go with the PlayStation 4 right now. I just don't. If you can convince me why, Tim, I will hear your argument. So go. As far as just games go, tell me why I should buy a PlayStation.
And I can't argue with you on that. Or I can't even try to persuade you. The PlayStation exclusives were some of the things that, what I got interested in buying the PlayStation 3 initially. But some of these exclusives became multi-console releases. And other exclusives I really never got into, like Killzone and everything else.
The new Killzone, and I mentioned this last night, looks like Crysis to me. It really does. Especially, they'll go to a shot of, the player character, and he looks like the guy from Crysis. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting the footage or whatever, or maybe they're showing something else and I just don't know what I'm looking at, but that's really what I saw out of that, it just looked like another first person shooter. And at times it looked like Crysis. I didn't really see anything in there that really said, hey, come out and buy me.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the PlayStation, I bought the PlayStation not when it first came out. I bought it, long after its actual release. Because there was one title that I was really interested in, and I knew that there would be other things I would play on it, but I was interested in Demon's Souls. That's why I bought my PlayStation in the first place, because I couldn't play Demon's Souls on anything else. It was a PlayStation exclusive. And, of course, Dark Souls. Yeah,
Dark Souls was the first one.
Wait, no. Demon's Souls was the first one. Dark Souls. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. Demon's Souls was the game that came... Yeah, okay. Demon's Souls was the exclusive. Dark Souls was the multi-console release. So, Dark Souls 2 was announced also, but... Dark Souls 2 actually looks badass, but again, it wasn't really... It was more cinematic kind of thing, but no, it was kind of... whatever.
They had a press conference today and they showed a lot of in-game footage, but before we get to the multi-platform, I'll let you finish your point.
Yeah, so it was, there was a few titles out there that I said I will actually play on the PlayStation 3. In my head, Final Fantasy was always a PlayStation exclusive. Well, when I bought 13, I didn't realize that 13 was going to be a multi-console release too. That was one of the things that got me into it as well. So I was like, well, I bought 13. Oh shit, 13 came out on Xbox as well. Well, that was a waste. And I ended up buying 2 copies of it. I have a copy on PlayStation and a copy on Xbox. I played the Xbox version far more than the Sony version. But other titles, I'm not really big into their exclusives. I guess I haven't been for a long time. There's some, the Final Fantasy series was pretty much a Sony exclusive, and I played that, but that's no longer the case. And the Demon Souls series, or Dark Souls now, is not one either. So it's like, there's nothing really out there for Sony that would say, it's only available here, this is why I'd buy it.
Yeah, and the only game that they announced that kind of was, well, they had Killzone, but they also had Infamous. And the reason I would never buy Infamous is because of their terrible cover of Nirvana's heart-shaped box that they played in their cinematic. That was just terrible. That was offensive. I'm not even a big Nirvana fan. I guess I like them more for sentimental reasons than anything else, but that was just terrible.
I think I actually have that during the recording because you actually did go on for some time about that last night.
I probably did, because it was terrible. And there were all these people in the game trailers so like, oh yeah, it's Nirvana. I'm just like, no, it's not. That's not Nirvana.
That's not Nirvana.
I mean, I'm exaggerating. I obviously wouldn't base whether I'd buy a game off of that or not, but.
Well, the internet would.
It goes back to what you said though, which is just, at least as far as launch goes, if I were to put money down right now, I would probably buy a one, just because of launch and what they've announced today.
Now, so you may not agree with the policies with the Xbox or anything else, but again, this is the argument I have with some people, because one of the things like, I don't think they've actually confirmed this or not. Maybe they did, but they said that the Xbox One also required a 2-year, gold membership to get started. Did they? I mean, you're not.
I don't know about that. I've not looked that far into it.
That was one of the things that someone tried to spark a conversation with me about, and I said, well, that's why I won't buy the Xbox One. I immediately just turned to them and I said, how long has your Xbox Live account been active? He said, about 4 years. Shut up. Just shut up at that point. Because if you've had your Xbox Live account open for 4 years.
Then who cares?
Exactly. That means you've been a dedicated Xbox gamer for 4 years. Why would you complain about opening it for another 2 years? If you're gonna buy it, you're gonna play it.
My biggest concern about the One would just, as far as a long-term thing would go, forgetting about the used game stuff, forgetting about the 24-hour thing, forgetting about all of that, would just be the no self-published indie games.
Yeah. And
versus PlayStation 4's format, which does allow that.
And again,
but that also goes back to the PC side of things, where most of those games I'm probably going to get on the PC anyway. I mean, we even have Castle Crashers now, which is a game I never thought. The only game I can think of off the top of my head that I haven't gotten on the PC is Shadow Complex. We're even going to get Dishwasher, Vampire Smile, whatever the fuck the name of that game is.
Yeah.
We were having a debate about that last night. We couldn't figure out what the name of the game was.
It's ridiculous even reading it.
But that's coming to PC too.
And that's a fun game. And
yeah.
Back when we first started our YouTube channel, those were our first videos, was myself and Ammo going head to head. I mean, we're supposed to be playing co-op, but it was a competition who could get the highest score. Mm-hmm. It's a fun game. Vampire Dishwasher Smile. Vampire Smile.
Vampire Smile.
What? Dishwasher.
Whatever it's called.
Smiling Dishwasher Vampire. No, it's a really fun game. We make fun of it because I can never remember what the hell the name of the title is, but it's a really fun game. If it's coming to PC, that's awesome. I mean, because I'll definitely have more people to play this.
Well, what actually happened was some guy in Russia, those Ruskies.
Ruski.
Somebody actually hacked the Xbox Live version to bring it to PC.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the developer went on Twitter or whatever, like, a week later and said, like, oh, we were planning on bringing it to PC anyway. So, one way or another, it was gonna happen.
Yeah, so we're getting it.
Yes, exactly. But it just goes back to my point, which is that I'm kind of struggling to come up with really good exclusive indie games that didn't end up coming to the PC at some point, even if it was a couple years down the road, other than Shadow Complex. That's the game that I really do still want to play.
That's it. For someone like you, like, you've been so involved in the PC, it's kind of hard to, like, get involved in the console wars, you know? It's like, cause a lot of stuff, cause you're really big against indie gaming. I mean, you definitely play some AAA titles every now and then.
Yeah.
But you are, for the most part, an indie gamer. I mean, you do enjoy quite a few of them out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the things of where when I was thinking about buying a 360, that was the reason why, was because I was seeing all these awesome games coming out on Xbox Live. and saying, wow, I really want to play those games. But here we are 2, 3, 4 years down the road, and now they're pretty much all at my fingertips, and I can't play any of them because I have such a damn backlog of games. I don't have time.
I can't even comment on the backlog.
Yeah.
I'm not allowed to. Like, we finally got, I mean, one of the games I've been meaning to talk to you for a long time, but we'll save it for another time, was Dust Elysian Tale, which just came out to Steam 3 weeks ago, and I absolutely love that. But I mean, that came out on Xbox Live a year ago.
Yeah.
We finally got it, but you know what? I'm fucking loving it. It's a great game. But, you know, at some point, we see these things. Whether we see them first or we see them second, we usually see them on the PC. And I said, I can't, I mean, I want to get really into the console wars. I want to go ahead and fight for Microsoft and everything else, but it's like, how much time really, Daryl, I mean, you see me online, like, how much time do I spend on my console versus my PC now?
These days, not, it's not a lot.
No, I'm on my PC 80% of the time. Like, it really takes something big to come out for me to jump back to my console.
And I think Halo will probably be that game. If nothing else, I think Halo will be the reason that you buy an Xbox One.
And that's one of the reasons. Halo has just always been a title that will get me to play console. It has been that way since, you know, the Xbox first came out to now. They announced Halo 5. They show a quick little snippet. I'll get excited. I'll need a change of pants for a quick moment, even though I was really confused by the trailer because it really didn't show much. I'm wondering why the hell Master Chief is just walking around the desert looking like a wandering nomad. But it will still get me to at least be interested in the title.
Okay, fair enough.
Cool.
Well, let's go ahead and knock out these cross-platform games really quickly because we still got to get to the big N. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just name these off, and then we'll kind of save our commentary for afterwards. So, Metal Gear Solid, Phantom Pain, The Witcher, Wild Hunt 3, Battlefield 4, Titanfall, Thief, Fantasia, Dying Light, and Destiny and Kingdom Hearts. Any thoughts, real quick, Tim?
Whoa! Oh, crap. About any of those? Jesus.
Oh yeah, just any of them in general.
Well, sorry, name off one by one again. First one.
Metal Gear Solid.
Meh.
The Phantom Pain.
Never played Metal Gear Solid.
The Witcher. I think it looks pretty cool. They didn't show off any in-game footage from The Witcher, but I think it looks good.
Now, The Witcher 3 looks good, but the thing is this is one of those franchises that I have not ever backed. Mm-hmm. So I don't know much about the Witcher world. Now, I know other people that have played Witcher and said it's a fantastic game. It's just like, well, it's just something I have never followed. So I mean, if I get into it, yeah, sure, but I gotta catch up. I gotta play 1 and 2 first. It's just the way it is.
Battlefield 4. Yeah, I'm not that psyched about it myself. Titanfall.
Fuck yeah.
Now,
dude.
I gotta admit here, before you go any further, cause I know you're gonna gush over this game, I really was not that impressed with this game. No. I really wasn't.
Okay, well maybe...
It looked like soldiers and mechs in Call of Duty. Cause every time somebody get killed, it's like, oh, here's your experience points.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I'm sorry, maybe there's some more there, but I wasn't impressed.
I have just been looking for a good mech game for a long time, and to have mechs and just soldier combat combined into one game, and to say, oh, the mechs aren't this, like, lumbering fucking Hulk wandering down the field and everything else. No, they're these agile fighters and everything else, that they can move quickly, they can fight quickly, they can fight pretty much as well as just humans by themselves can. Like, well, that's interesting. That's an interesting approach to it. So, I mean, initial look at it has my interest.
Yeah, because I was about to say, you have MechWarrior Online and Hawken.
Yeah. Well, I mean, MechWarrior was one of those games, I mean, back in the day, I used to play the shit out of MechWarrior. My very first email account was MechWar at Hotmail.
Ah.
No, it wasn't Hotmail. It was something. What was before Hotmail? It may have been Hotmail. But it was MechWar, because I was really big into MechWarrior when I was younger. When I was browsing online forums. as a wee lad.
As a wee lad.
As a wee lad, yes.
But, we had Thief, which no in-game footage shown from Thief.
And again, Thief is just one of those.
It's a long-standing franchise. It's been around since the 90s. So.
I bought the Thief collection on.
So did I. Yeah, I have too. Haven't played a single one.
Nope, neither have I.
But everybody gushes about them.
Which, by the way, check your Steam inventory.
Okay.
You're welcome, and happy belated birthday.
Oh, is that Monaco that you gave me?
Maybe.
But then you also have the Dying Light, which that one looks like it could be pretty cool. It's a zombie game with like super fast mutant zombies, which is kind of like the 28 Days Later style zombie. And then you have Destiny, which is basically Borderlands 3.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing about the way they showed off Destiny. If they would have showed off Destiny with anybody else playing that fucking game, I probably would have been impressed. Mm-hmm. And again, if I just decide to go ahead and release our audio of watching the Sony press conference, which I probably will, for people to enjoy, us just making fun of it the whole time. Because we were talking I went back and listened to part of it. We were talking so much shit during the Destiny reveal.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Oh, it was so bad. We're like, hey, can you fucking, hit the target? I mean, that's a wall. It's a dangerous looking wall, but, I mean, you got it.
So then you've got Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
But after that, then they talked about Kingdom Hearts 3, which is coming to PS4 and Xboner, so.
Well, I played Kingdom Hearts 2, and I was, it was alright. I mean, I'm not a big Kingdom Hearts fan. I mean, I'm just not. So I can't really say much of anything.
I played the 358 and 1/2 one that was for the DS, I think it was, which I think it was kind of in the same vein as the rest of them. The environments looked the same from the trailer as the game that I played, so I just kind of assumed that was standard Kingdom Hearts, and it wasn't too bad. I never finished it, but it wasn't bad. I mean, it's one to look into. But let's move on to EA here. So EA had Star Wars Battlefront, which
like
that is
10
one
seconds.
That a lot of people. Yeah, they had a really short trailer, which they just showed kind of a snowy terrain, and then an Imperial Walker foot crashed down right in front of the camera.
Well, they showed the snowspeeder crash. They showed an AT-AT walking around. You saw the feet of the AT-AT, and you saw the snowspeeder crash, which means that they're having some kind of hot level again. Yeah. And that is, I mean, that's something. Battlefront was a good game. I enjoyed the Battlefront series, 1 and 2. My brother and I would play Battlefront. We would have like one game of Battlefront last for several hours, because there would just be no one that would win. Because you have to take over a percentage of the universe in order to be declared a winner or something like that. And our games would go on for hours. It was like Josh and I are playing Civ 5. They just go on and on and on. But I mean, it's exciting to see Battlefront 3 coming, but very little shown. Of course, it's on one of EA's new engines, the Frostbite 3, is what they announced. So excited to see more from it, but they didn't show anything. They showed a snowspeeder crashing. That was it. Next
to nothing. Yeah. So we don't know anything about it other than it actually exists.
Yeah. We know that's coming.
But they also showed off Dragon Age Inquisition, which is no in-game footage, not coming until fall of next year.
Yeah.
Mirror's Edge 2, which they basically they showed a cinematic and said it's essentially very early in development, and it'll be done when it's done. No release date, no release window, nothing.
Now, Mirror's Edge was a game, the first one I have not played. I own it because I picked up during one of the many sales on Steam. I just have not played it yet, but I heard people love that game, and it's been one thing that I've been trying to get to, and I just can't.
I have heard mixed things about it. Some people seem to like it a lot, some people don't like it a lot. But we'll see. They also talked about Need for Speed, Plants vs. Zombies, and then they had their assortment of multi-platform sports games.
Dude, can I just say, the Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, I am actually excited about. They announced that, Plants vs. Zombies 2 is coming. But they said Garden Warfare, which is a 4-player co-op survivor game, and you just play these, wave upon wave of fighting zombies, and you have all the boss waves and everything else. And the different plants have, the different roles. Like you have your cactus, which is your sniper. Yeah. You have your pea shooter, which is your main soldier. You have your sunflower, which is your healer. You have what was the fourth one they showed off? The chomper. The chomper, which is like your melee,
Yeah, they also had the one that acts as like a kind of a grenade that blows up when I don't remember what it's called.
That was just an ability, but that's the beam.
Oh, I thought that was actually okay.
Yeah, no, that's the beam. So the plants actually have their own abilities, which were summoning the other plants from Plants vs Zombies into it as well.
You know a lot about this game.
Okay.
I did play Plants vs. Zombies, but clearly not as much as you did.
I have 3 copies of Plants vs. Zombies. Okay, I have my mobile version. Mm-hmm. I bought the version on Xbox Live, and I bought the PC version. And between the mobile version and the Xbox Live, or the Xbox version, was a big difference because they had the survival wave, which the iPhone at the time didn't have. I don't know if it does now. I haven't played Plants vs. Zombies in a while because I got pissed off. There was an achievement on the Xbox version to survive, I think 100 waves or something. Maybe it was 40 waves. Maybe it was 40 waves. So it was something lower.
Something absurd.
Yeah, but it was 2 hours for you to get to that point. And I failed on wave 39. And I think that's what it was. I failed the wave before. And I nearly threw my controller through my TV. I was so pissed off. Because it took about 2 hours to get to that point. It was ridiculous. I was so mad. I was like, I'm gonna do this. I got this. Yes. Oh.
Well, they didn't show anything in game, but you'll obviously have another chance to throw your controller through the screen.
For Plants vs. Zombies 2, yeah. But it's probably the same thing.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and knock out Ubisoft here too, real quick. So they had
AC4.
They had AC4, and then they had Rocksmith, which apparently features Jerry Cantrell. Playing guitar with you, I don't know. No, I'm joking. He was just up on stage playing Alice in Chains songs, and everybody in the comments was like, on Game Trolls, like, who is this guy? And I'm like, just sitting there shaking my head like...
Are these the same people that said that was Nirvana being played?
Yeah, probably. Don't know Alice in Chains. But apparently they're going to have a session mode, which seems pretty cool if you want to just kind of jam along in Rocksmith, where it has like a virtual band of sorts where they'll play with you and react to what you're playing in real time. So it'll be interesting to see how that actually works. Mm-hmm. And if they can really pull it off especially with a variety of music.
Because Rocksmith was actually like plugging an actual instrument into...
Yeah, you could plug in your real guitar as opposed to your plastic,
guitar. Oh, man.
And play that along with, and it's coming out on 360, PS3, and PC.
Because Rocksmith, I saw that was released. I mean, there's been more stuff released recently on Steam. The original Rocksmith, yeah.
But they also had the Game of the Year, Just Dance 2014. Go ahead. If you want to, praise Just Dance, go ahead.
I do, actually. I mean, I just don't see why this hasn't gotten more press. I mean, everyone's talking about Halo and Killzone and Metal Gear Solid. No. Y'all got it wrong. Just Dance, especially Just Dance 14, new songs, new tracks, new dances. What? Or get your shit ready. I'm ready.
I don't doubt that.
Are you ready?
I guess so.
Okay.
So they announced 2 Trials games, one for PS4, 360, actually I don't know if it was PS3 or PS4, but one for PlayStation, one for 360, one for PC, and they also have a mobile game coming out.
Yeah, Fusion is the console version, Frontier is the mobile version.
Yeah. They had the aforementioned, Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, and then they had The Crew, which is another racing game. It's kind of an open world kind of game. They have Watch Dogs and Tom Clancy's The Division. So we had seen Watch Dogs before, and they showed off a little bit more of the gameplay. And it still looks pretty cool. They have a lot of the hacking elements involved, so they had things like, you can turn off the lights in an entire city and take control of cameras and EMPs and all that kind of stuff. So you're not really a superhuman, but you can do some pretty crazy things with your smartphone.
Yeah, they say your smartphone is your biggest weapon, and that's what he's walking around doing.
But really, The Division was the game that I think everybody wanted to see more of, and everybody was talking about.
Because that's one of the ones that you and I both got like immediately after watching it, going, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing about it is right now it's only coming to consoles, so I really, really hope that they bring it to PC. So it's got kind of a post-apocalyptic type of thing going on where I think the story behind it was
Black Friday.
Yeah, somebody unleashed some kind of mega virus in New York City on Black Friday and killed like everybody, and now the world's gone to shit.
You know what the thing is like I should have known right away that it was a Tom Clancy game by the way they did the intro, and I didn't even think of it. And as soon as they said Tom Clancy, I was like, fuck, I knew that. Because the way just the way they did the storytelling right from the very beginning, saying Black Friday, do you know how long the flu virus can survive on a dollar bill, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, it's definitely a Tom Clancy game now. Yeah, as soon as you said it, I'm like, yeah.
But it's a third person, action game. And some of the level of detail in it looks pretty interesting. Like they showed that one clip that people keep talking about where the guy was taking cover behind the police car. And he moves along behind the police car, and it was kind of open, and as he's going behind it, he shuts it on the way over to take cover behind the other end of the police car. So that was a pretty cool thing that, I hadn't seen that in a game before, at least do something like that, so.
And then they have the squad thing, so you're playing with your friends, right? So you're going around and you're doing these little missions trying to capture these points and everything else. But they showed during the demo was them going through and capturing a police station. Well, then they leave the police station, and out of nowhere comes this rival or this another gang of people.
Another player characters group of another gang, basically.
And then this kind of PvE environment becomes PvP, just right there on the spot. You found another group of people. It's game on. It's time to shoot some assholes.
Yeah.
And that's the way they did it. I was like, what? I mean, that would be cool as shit. Like, if there's a bunch of us playing together, and we're just patrolling the cities, trying to find upgrades and trying to do all this other stuff, and then out of nowhere, it's just like, all these other guys, or maybe it's just one guy comes on and says, I'm gonna take these people, and then we just fucking, rape the asshole right there, like that. Dude, I really think, if we were to come to PC, we would have...
That's a no-brainer for PC, in my opinion. It's kind of... almost sort of reminds me a bit of DayZ, just minus the zombies, obviously.
I can see that.
Just in that it's kind of a desolate, like, post-apocalyptic sort of thing, and you can team up with people and just sort of take over objectives and all that kind of stuff.
Because what they say, how you save what you already have, or how you save what's left, I think is what they said. Something like that.
Yeah, and they have the survival element going on too, obviously. So, I mean, in a little bit of a way, it did remind me just of that sort of DayZ category of games. Obviously, it's not entirely like DayZ, but vaguely reminiscent. So, I mean, I think that would work really well on PC, and I can't believe I'm saying I hope Ubisoft brings that game to PC. Because Ubisoft has been evil in the past, but
we'll get it on Uplay.
Some of their games, I mean, they are bringing Watch Dogs to PC, so to me it's just like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna get Watch Dogs, might as well get.
And also Assassin's Creed 2 and Trials is coming to PC. Almost all of these games are. I think the only other one that wasn't was The Crew. So, really makes sense too. I think it's a good fit. So, that just kind of covers all of the Xbox 360, PS3 games. Do you want to move on to the big N, Tim?
Well, let me ask this, because we are about to hit our actual mark of what we're supposed to be hitting for a show. Do we just want to cut this right now, and then we'll start the Nintendo conversation, and then just pick up as the next thing?
That's up to you.
Because in the past, for everyone here, we have always done this as pretty much a two-part thing, and we've gotten to the point now where it's going to be a two-part thing. So, let's go ahead and cut it.
Okay.
And then we'll start back up, and then we'll come back with Nintendo, So the next one should be shorter, but then we have a couple of things to talk about afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
We'll cut it here. So that has been the Xbox One, the PS4, and of course Ubisoft and EA.
Yeah, yep.
Alright, we'll be back.